an overview of the talk, I want to tell you two quick stories about my background, which I think I want to make sure before this presentation is done. I want to give you some really valuable takeaways, some content that I think will help you in your careers, in life, and inspire you to go for your dreams and just really make a dent in this world and make an impact. So I'll tell you two quick stories. I'll tell you the current state of marketing, and it'll apply to a lot of you people here in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not directly, but it will help also your career as well. I'm going to want to just encourage you with some tips or advice for your careers, and then I'll open up with Q&A. Is that okay? Fair enough? Okay. So just to tell you my two quick stories. This is when I was 18 years old, went to St. Pete Academy. Actually a couple months before this picture was taken. And I believe in being authentic. I believe in telling authentic stories to encourage, inspire. You can't read this in a book. And about 4 months before this picture, I was told by my father I wasn't going to college. And I understood why. I forgave him, and actually thankful that he did it, because it lit a passion and a fire under me to chase my dream and just really go for it. And through a series of events, by the age of 26, so almost 20 years ago, I chased my dream. I used to work for the Chicago Bears football team, Arizona Diamondbacks, and I finished grad school all by the age of 26. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you the power of a 5-minute conversation. 5-minute conversations can change your life. It's changed mine multiple times. And it started with this man right here. His name is David Rounds. I used to work for him. He's actually my cousin. He's a quiet man, kind of behind-the-scenes kind of guy. And man of very few words, but he knew what was going on. He goes, "Chris, go to blankety-blank college," you know. And so I took his advice, ran with it. But just to give you just the power of words or conversations, but that's not just his life. It's every one of our lives. You know, we can have a potential impact to change people's lives, and that's why I'm passionate about your generation, your age demographic, 18 to 25, because the choices that you make from 18 to 25, it's going to put you on a path, a momentum in life. That yes, can you change later on in life? Yes, you can. It's statistically more difficult because as you get older, you're gonna have more car payments. You might get married. You might invest in a house. So life gets a little bit more serious. So to pivot is a little bit more statistically difficult later on in life. And so that's why 18 to 25, that age bracket, I'm just drawn to you guys because your life can literally go this way or this way. And it's a brilliant, it's a privilege to even be here to speak to you guys today because one of my life's mission statement is impact, not only in business, but in life. And so, because you are the next generation that can have impact and make a dent and make an impact in this world, especially for businesses and your careers. Second story, which you'll start to see a pattern, is, and I share these stories because it'll give you a glimpse of the reality of all of our lives and how it affects not only our life, but also our professional career. We affect a lot more people than we realize. And this is what's neat about this, is that we can be so passionate about our careers. We can be, it's so much more than just doing graphics. It's so much more than doing video or gaming. You have the potential to impact people that you could, far more than you realize. The story that I did some genealogy work, found out my great-great-grandfather's name is Battista Negro, came from Italy, chasing a dream here in America. He died a year later, chasing a dream. He was a poor Italian immigrant and died in an unmarked grave. 2 years later, his 17-year-old son, Giovanni, must have found out his dad died, had the courage and faith to come on a boat by himself to fulfill his dad's legacy. 5 years later, he gets married. This is his wedding picture. And 15 years later, there he is, and they had a son. That's my grandfather in 1920. He grows up 13 years later, marries, that's his wife, that's my grandfather and my grandmother. They have a son, an only son, which is my father. And there he is right there. There's me in the bottom right. I ended up growing up, obviously, getting married, that's my son. And that was 4 years ago, met at MSU. And there is my son today. He's right now he's at going to school at Lighthouse Academy. He couldn't be here. Love to show him to you. But just to give you an impact, a perspective, I was talking to David Keyes. He's the professor in the Criminal Justice Department in New Mexico State. We're having this conversation, told him the story, and I was like, do people have a 360 awareness of the power of their choices that they make in life? You're here, you're making a choice, you're valuing your education. And I encourage you guys, chase your dream now. Live a life of no regrets. You should not mind failure. Failure is going to happen to every one of us, but regret is a greater pain because it was in your control, but you're too afraid to go for it. Well, I went for it. I was a little crazy. I actually went for it. And so these are some of the things just to encourage you, to inspire you. I chased my dream, and I think a lot of you guys can fulfill your dreams as well. But I was talking to Professor David Keyes, I was like, do people even realize the power of their choices that they make, the power of their conversations that they have, the conversations that they don't have? If people had a 360 awareness of the power of their choices and conversations in life, would they live their life differently? Would they choose different career paths? Would they double down on the career path that you're choosing now and become world class at it? To dent this universe, to dent this world? Would they? He goes, Chris, I think this is off the record, by the way. We're having a beer at Pecan Grill. And he goes, Chris, I think people would have different conversations. They would make different choices in life because you affect people while you're alive, obviously. But you affect people long after we all pass on. Everyone's going to leave a legacy in this room, whether you want to or not. The only question is what type. And so my question is for you is, what legacy are you going to leave behind? What professional legacy are you going to leave behind? I wrote an article on LinkedIn about we're all going to leave a professional legacy. The only question is what type. And so we're all going to be hired at some point by companies, if you're not already now. And so while we work and solve their problems in the marketplace, you mean to tell me we can't also leave a professional legacy while we solve their problems? What about reaching up to the younger generation and strengthening them and inspiring them, taking them under the wings and developing your professional legacy? Andy Reid, I don't know if you know Andy Reid. Anybody know? Anybody sports orientated?
Thanks, Mike.
He's actually a coach. He's going to be in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. If you study his life, he's mentored, trained, and released all of his coaches. And now they're his competitors. But he's there to solve problems for the Chiefs, to win games, and hopefully win the Super Bowl here this Sunday. But on top of solving his employer's problems, he's there to leave a professional legacy, building the younger generation up to have an impact. And that's something powerful that I think we can all like to say as we get older in our professional careers. So I want to tell you that story because you can see the progression of we not only affect people today while we're alive, but man, the far reach of our lives is far greater than a lot of people I think realize. So that, let me transition to this. And I also want to say that, and that's why I'm very passionate, because I know the power of conversations. I know the power of just having the privilege to be here and to speak in your life, because 5-minute conversations changed my life. I've never met them again. They have no idea what they did. And so that's why I'm sensitive to this. And also I want to just, if you want to give Matt Burns a round of applause, because...
No.
Well, no, I'm being sincere, because we're all going to leave that legacy and professional legacy, and you bringing guest speakers in here helps inspire. And so legacy actually starts with leaders like him, your teachers like him, that are bringing people in here to inspire, encourage you, and give you the wisdom that you need to thrive and be world-class at what you do. So please, give them a round of applause. I know you don't want that, but it's objectively the truth. So, and I encourage you to continue to do that. So, bring other guest speakers in.
I know, it makes my job easier as well because you teach the class for me.
Yeah. The current state in marketing, the future of marketing, cell phone, everyone's got a cell phone, right? The cell phone is now the TV. TV is now the radio. From a marketing perspective, everything's going digital, and marketers and digital people and even gamers, it's already on there. But you know, everyone wants it. That phone is the new TV, and so obviously, I think offline marketing is still good. Signs sell. But there's such massive shift to digital and so much money. Right now, actually, I'm still working on a contractual basis, but I used to work for a company, Poly Group, and I was in charge of a $3 million a year website to grow the online revenues. And it's a $1 billion a year company, and I was like not even 5% in charge of the entire. So I was it was like an orphan stepchild, so to speak. They really didn't want to grow, but for me, it was a great experience, and to drive traffic and to increase conversion rates and stuff like that. And but companies are really, e-commerce is huge. It's big business, and companies are really taking notice. The current cutting edge of marketing is content marketing, and automated social marketing tools. Like some of you, have anybody ever heard of Hootsuite? It's a social media software that you can automate, just like email marketing. You can automate your emails in advance to communicate to your audience. Well, social media, you can automate your Instagram posts, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, LinkedIn posts. Everything is intentional in advance by design. So a lot of you, when you see a lot of content on these different social media platforms, especially if they're businesses, they're scheduled in advance, and it comes across seamlessly when you digest the content. And so content, the reason why content is big, and it's going to be especially good for marketers, graphic designers, video, audio professionals, is it's so cutting edge now because the U.S. is the most marketed to and sold people on the planet. And they don't want to be sold to anymore. And so what major companies have figured out is that we're not going to sell you, this is not going to be an ad. We actually care, and God forbid, you actually care about the customer. You actually care about them. So you educate them, you inspire them, you make them laugh. You give some sort of value. And so you engage them. And so through that engagement, let's say a lawyer, for example. A lawyer, he gives tips and advice to a single mom that's going through a hard time with her family, and so he's giving value for free, but at the same time he's doing that through a video. He's building his brand. You trust that lawyer. Now you're one more step closer to hiring that lawyer. Does that make sense? So customer and content engagement. So just so you know, for you graphic designers, videos, people, content engagement is huge, and I think there's a lot, we're at the beginning of a lot more content marketing jobs.
I just wanted to add, though, it's big in business, so this is the kind of work that you'll probably get a chance to do, but also think about it, how you can leverage this concept for yourselves, when you're selling yourselves, when you're building your portfolios, the engagement, the story, the narrative, what kind of value are you giving apart from, here's my work. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's even one of the, just to solidify what we were saying, one of my other points I was going to make here. When you're young, don't wait till me when I got older, that to be intentional with building your professional brand. Don't do that. Brands, I'll give you an example. I'm working for a client right now. They're making, I think $250,000 a month in Google AdWords. And you know what profitable keywords are making the most money is branding related keywords. Brands, if you build a brand, it sells. Brands, like I'll get into, my wife's originally from the Philippines, and I want a Ford. Well, in their country, Ford is a huge, well, here it's kind of like more of a basic car, but they did such a good job at branding to other people, it's everything. And so now Ford is getting a lot of revenue streams from a lot of different, foreign customers, if that makes sense. When you first think of Lexus, what do you think of?
Luxury.
Luxury, I want it. Value, right? Their intention with building the brand, impressions to you over time. Now you want to buy when you get older and you can afford it. If you can afford it, you buy a Lexus, right? So building your brands has a huge impact in the marketplace, not just in companies, but every one of your professional careers. So work on building your brand now while you're young. And that, you may not, building a brand is a long-term play. If you want quick fix, don't build your brand. But if you're in this career for the long haul, you better start doing it now while you're young. I just can't encourage that enough. So it's a great point.
Thank you.
Let me see, just a transitioning and then we'll close in Q&A. Interview people now on the realities you will experience on the rest of your life in terms of your career choice, specifically as it relates to your future family, the quality of life, and the ultimate legacy that you will leave behind. I wish someone would have told me this when I was younger. I was actually going through junior college. I started out at junior college in Illinois State and then Arizona State. But I wish someone would have told me this. Say, Chris, whatever you choose, whatever niche, because your niches can kind of fragment as you go along in your career. It'll get more defining, more definitive. Some of you guys might build, you start out. Here's this one.
That one went over.
Oh, okay. And it can start out in graphic design. But next thing you know, 3-4 years later, now you're building a marketing business. So if this is going to be your career and it has so much impact, your legacy, your family, quality of life, why not take 3 30-minute interviews with professionals that you're going to be in for the rest of your life? And it has so much, why not take an hour and a half of your time and see and just make sure? There's a wise saying, begin with the end in mind, right? So if this is real, why not take time to interview people on the reality? What's the future? What's the future hold? What do you make? What are the pros and cons of this industry? Please be honest with me. I can't encourage you enough to do that now. After your degree, be open-minded, think out of the box and how you can monetize your education. For example, your graphic design or gaming or why not think, okay, why not start my own company? You might want to get some sort of experience first, but then, think out of the box. The other thing is, it's a true story. When I got married, I leveraged my marketing skill set, not to work for somebody, but I got married. I actually bartered my entire wedding. It was a $20,000 wedding. I spent $400 and a lot of my time. And so my photographer was included, the venue. It was like 3 massage. It was a full service place. It wasn't a bed and breakfast. It was like a mini resort. Bed and breakfast. It was bigger than a bed and breakfast, but had a restaurant, massage, all that kind of stuff. And so he had a problem. I could solve it for him. I did a marketing plan, did a video. I outsourced a lot of the video editing from people overseas. Same thing with.
We don't want to hear that.
Huh?
We don't want to hear that.
Well, no, but I didn't know. I just needed to, and yeah. So think about. There's different ways you can monetize your skill sets. There's a lot of brick and mortar business owners that don't have the knowledge you have. And so just be open-minded to where your career may go and different ways you can monetize that. Find a world-class mentor and follow them. Not all doctors and lawyers are the same. Same thing with the people that teach you. And so, I'll give you any MMA fans out there, right? You want to be world class. Maybe some of you guys better watch out. Maybe you guys are MMA trainers or stuff like that. But if you want to be world class and the best in MMA, you got to have world class teachers. And so your education starts now, but your education doesn't stop once you get a degree. You're just continuing your education as a practitioner now. And the good thing about places like here, and I can kind of tell, they're giving you a lot more practitioner stuff, and it's not just theory and education, a lot of hands-on. And so, but be choosy. Just as you go throughout your career, be choosy in who teaches you. And that goes into the next question. Decide now if you want to be below average to average professional in your careers of discipline. Do you want to be good? Do you want to be great? Or do you want to be world-class at what you do? Because if you want to be world-class, you got to put world-class effort. You've got to have the right people around you. And you got to have the right attitude, and a world-class attitude, world-class work ethic, and a world-class team or networks and people that inspire you, encourage you to be that world-class professional. Your chances of, just the statistical anomaly and how rare even a moment like this is. Do you know that anybody have an idea of the statistical odds of you being born? You may know that? Take a guess. Anybody? No right or wrong answer. I didn't know this until about 2 months ago.
Was it like 1 in 10 million?
No. 1 in 400 trillion to 1 odds of you being born. So I take a step back, and it's like, wow, we are absolutely a miracle. And I think we're here for a purpose, and I think it's a purpose to dent the universe and make this world a better place, be rock star professionals, and have impact in the marketplace. And so just to give you a perspective on what your life, and I think how it really represents, we're all game changers here. Whether you realize it or not, we're all game changers. And my passion is to motivate, inspire people, make people aware of this. And some people can say, well, this is kind of deep. It's like, well, I don't care if it's deep, but is it objectively true? We're all game changers here. Some people are already starting to be that game changer, be world class. Some people just need that encouragement, and that world class, that game changer, just needs to be encouraged and developed. So, and that goes to another question. Because it's such a rare time that we have on this earth, chase your dream. Why not? At least you go for it. Try to be world class. Go for whatever it is that you want to do. Your first job out of college, on your interview, this is all about getting a job, right? We're here to get a job for the most part. Maybe it's some just educational learning, that's fine. But eventually you're going to have to get a job. I would recommend, and don't worry about what I'm about ready to say, when you go on your interview, and you won't hear this probably from anybody else, tell them you'll work for free. Big statement, huh? First of all, don't worry about it. They legally have to pay you. So when you go apply for a job, there's one job and about 50 applicants. And I've learned this in marketing. Marketing is all about marketing your difference. You need to be intentional with marketing your difference. And so Burger King is about flame-broiled burgers, right? McDonald's is the fries, and they're really kid-friendly. They're really intentional with marketing how they're different from their competitors. Corporations do that. You need to do that with your careers. So how are you different? And you need to be intentional with marketing. Now, I don't believe in manipulation at all just to get a job. I believe if you're sincere, you need to say that. Like, hey, I'm here. See, when you got all these 20 or 50 different candidates, right? And you're talking to the interviewer, how many people do you think? And by the way, it's not easy to get a job. Just because you got a degree doesn't mean that everyone's going to be lining up to give you a job. And so you only know that when you go through the process many times, like I have. And so it shows your attitude, your hunger, and how many hiring managers ever hear that from a professional? Where have you been all my life? That's an attitude I want to hire. I know your skill, but I'm hiring not more than just skills. I'm hiring your attitude, your work ethic, and all the different collateral that you're building in classes here, graphic designs, your portfolio. When you go to the interview and show them, everyone else is going to be doing that as well. So how are you different? Go above and beyond for your career. Separate yourself from your competition so it's easier to land that job when you get out in the marketplace. Build your professional brand. Keep people on the outer courts, mid courts, and on the inner courts. And guard that inner circle that speaks into your life. And so just to encourage you in that, because words are powerful. And people can steer you this way and this way. And so just intentionally, on purpose, surround yourself that will support your dreams and passion. And lastly, and just to, pat yourself on the back. I got my start here at junior college at the Illinois Valley Community College in Illinois. And that was a step in the right direction. It was a path for chasing my dream. It's a path for excellence. It was a path that changed my life. And just to encourage you, pat yourself on the back, because you're going to start to meet people as you journey throughout your career. You go on potentially to get a bachelor's degree, master's, or a doctorate degree. It'll plant seeds for your future. You can talk to people, have conversations with people that you normally wouldn't have had if you didn't start with this education that you decided to embark on. So that's all I have. Open up for Q&A. There's no right or wrong questions to answer. I'm here. I want to make this valuable for you. And so does anybody have any questions?
I got a couple.
Sure.
When you were talking about branding yourself, I don't know if you struggle with this. I struggle with it. I don't know if any other people struggle with it. Is identifying your own brand, kind of
Sure.
finding your own, I guess, road that you're going to take past.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come to school, you learn a variety of things. You learn illustrating, you learn photography, you learn, video, animation. You can learn a bunch of different things. I know you find one that you're passionate about, but whenever you're doing, like, I'm studying graphic design, and do I present my most loved work or my most creative work in my portfolio, like, say, poster design or editorial, like if I like typography, is it
Sure.
is that the best way to go about it?
Very good question. And it's a couple step layer answer to that question. In where you want to go, and it sounds like you're more broad, it's not being defined.
Mm-hmm.
It's called unique branding, UBAs, unique branding attributes. I had to do this, actually took a course on this. I'm like, oh my God, why haven't I've been marketing my entire life, but I have not built my brand intentionally, building my professional brand till later on. So I took a course, digested it, and it's called unique branding attributes. And so I went through a series of questions that I answered to help me, like, what's really me? What's the core? What's my identity? And so I found out through going through this exercise, and I've learned to embrace it, that one of my unique branding attributes is to inspire people in their craft, in marketing. And so that's part of me. Good, bad, or indifferent. I love to inspire. I want to give back and make a difference in this world. And so I come through a lot of inspirational stories. So that's part of my brand. That's how I differentiate yourself also in the marketplace from other marketing professionals. So it'd be a process. You might, and I could see if I can remember what those questions are. I think I can still have access to them. And I got business cards here if you want to stay in touch, email me, whatever. I'm here for you guys to make a difference. Obviously, I care. So, but there's also, you can probably Google it, unique branding attributes. How do I find it? How do I discover my unique branding attributes? It's kind of a known term that's out there for marketers. I learned it later on in life. So there may be some questions, so you can do self-diagnosis on yourself. Email me, call me, I can see if I can find something for you. So that's a step one. Two, and there's a three-step part of this. Two, what are you really passionate about? Because if you're passionate about something, instead of being a jackal, everything's going to be a specialist, And within a specialist category, then you can even define it even further, become a specialist. And more is not, and I've learned this, more is not greater. It's actually less is greater on the leverage curve. You're like high level, that people in their success business that study life and success, And they've interviewed the best people on the planet. Like Steve Jobs, he's more proud of the things he didn't do. So is Warren Buffett, by the way, and Bill Gates. They're proud of the things that they did not do. And they focused on the one or two things, and they were world class at it. They dented the world. And so I wouldn't know what that is for you. It'll be a series of discoveries over time, and then eventually you'll start to see, and it'll become more clear over time. But what are you really passionate about of all these different things? And become world class at it. And that, if you can just be a specialist, like even in the NFL, you're starting to see that everything's becoming specialized. That's all they do is punt return, kick return, fullback, special teams. Everything's becoming specialist. And I think if you can become a specialist and zero in on your specialty, now, because people are hiring, it's like, I've done everything in marketing. You know what? I've gone through the interview process and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm perfect for that job, but they want a specialist. Right? So employers are getting more specific, they want a specialist. So I would start to hone your specialty craft now. And don't be broad. You might start out broad, it's okay, but eventually start working to that specialty. And the third one, see if I can remember this. I would stop. Okay, they say begin with the end in mind. If you want to be in demand in the marketplace, all the things that you talked about, what is the marketplace lacking? And there's a huge demand in it. Like you say, cinematography. What else did you say?
Well, there's poster design. There's editorial design. There's different paths you can be great at. Like, you don't want to put those in your portfolio. And I hate making movie posters. Why would you put that in a portfolio if you hate doing it?
Let me ask you this:
to show variety.
how many in the marketplace? How many people can make posters?
Tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, based on your own answer, would you say you're especially in demand in that type of service? In light that there's many people, so, right? So, that's something to consider. Maybe, through dialogue, you're starting to see now, but what is something that very few people can do in the marketplace that is a need in the marketplace? What is it? In all the different categories you talked about.
There's nothing anymore. Nowadays, you can go on Fiverr and there's tons of artists you can you're going to get what you pay for, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a lot of those foreign people and stuff like that, they don't have...
amount of everything. There's not much you can give anymore. It's hard.
They don't have the English... There's an English barrier, because a lot of companies want still English people that they can have discussions with.
Yes.
And interact with a professional. Mm-hmm. So, but you said cinematography, graphic design, and what else?
No, I'm just saying, like, in general, like photography. Say you really like... But there's a bunch of photographers everywhere, and then there's stock photos. And that's what I'm saying as far as, like, you're in marketing. So when you're out and you have a client that needs an artist or they need stuff for an ad, do you yourself go search certain artists for the ad, or like for
I've been working with like graphic
and,
design like
things
for
like
a while, but some are busy. Mm-hmm. So if people approach me and say, hey, I want, if you have any work or something like that, I'm glad to, so I have sometimes like that, they'll come to me or something like that and say, hey, I love his attitude or I love her attitude.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to answer. There is no definitive answer to what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes. It may feel like the market is saturated with media people. It may feel that way, but we need more media now than we ever did. So I wouldn't let that discourage you. There's work. Yeah. I agree, 100%. It's separating yourself from that. And so whether you can do posters or flyers or photography, tastes and trends and culture changes. It's constantly changing. So maybe your skill is being able to stay on top of those trends. Not necessarily the fact that you have the same Photoshop skills or photography skills. Oh, everybody can do Photoshop. No. Well, maybe everyone can open Photoshop and do a few things with it, but how many people are magic with Photoshop? Mm-hmm. Not that many. Lots of people know how to use it. You can open up, modify a picture, throw a piece of text in there. That doesn't mean it's good. So just because a lot of people are capable of doing it doesn't mean a lot of people, I'm going to pay a lot of people to do it. So that's how you define yourself, is, I can't go back to, that's the strongest point, is that,
Yeah.
you know, being passionate, I think being honest and sincere with your work, and then focusing on your particular passion. I've had students that are great photographers, but they found their niche because they paired it with a passion. This one student was absolutely fanatic about cycling. And he took his cycling passion and his photography passion, and he was able to craft a career. Because there's a whole community of cyclists that are into video.
In a lot of these different areas, I'd say in the beginning, go for a lot of it all. And this is just using my common sense brain, is that, okay, out of all these different things, begin with the end in mind. If you really want to have a good job and that pays well, okay, re-engineer that and say, okay, let's just make a common sense, wise decision. Of all these different things, interview people that are doing these things that you want to do. Take an hour out of your life, make an investment in your future, and say, what's the reality? Please be honest with me. No smoke and mirrors. Like, I really want to know the good, bad, and ugly. What does it take? What does the next 10 years hold when I get out of school? For 5 years? Like, while I'm entering the marketplace, I want to know reality. This isn't a game. This is my life. This is my unborn children. This is everything, your legacy. So, I'd start there. I mean, that's just me. I'm not telling people what to do,
No.
or, because money isn't everything. It's not, but it helps. You know what? It's a part of your legacy.
Yeah, and that's
it's
what
a part of your
I was
family.
debating, because I only came back to school to try and do something creative with the rest of my life and do it with a computer, because I've always hand-drawn and didn't want to be just hand-drawing stuff forever, and I started trying to integrate it with the computer and learn how to do more digital.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, okay, well, what if I just put myself out there as an artist and then get commissioned from there,
That's definitely a long-term
Yeah,
play.
it's not work as well, but that's just like the side. Not career necessarily.
Yeah, well, and again, I'm more like education in your life and where you spend your time. It's all about return on investment. I'm more of a business person who happens to be a marketing person. So I look at it from a business reality situation of the rest of my life. I would begin with the end in mind. What kind of lifestyle do you want? Find out what they pay in those different categories. Can I be a specialist? Like, I'll give an example. I've been doing marketing my entire life, Google AdWords and Facebook marketing ads and all that stuff. At an entrepreneurial world-class level, you know what people do? They take Salesforce data, download it in a spreadsheet. They take the Google AdWords and the back-end user interface. They download the Excel spreadsheets in data, and they merge the Excel spreadsheets together, make a pivot table, and then they run queries to interpret data. That's how Walmart and these bigger companies do it. They got over 1 to 2 million SKUs. How can they be intentional in using wisdom on their ad spend and what they do that by world-class level, merging all this stuff? Well, I didn't find this out until later. And so I think a lot of times that's what's going to happen in your spheres of influence. It's taken me a long time to get to this place, and my sense is at some level it may take as you journey, but I would make sure that field you're in, that tree that column you're already looking at to be world-class at, make sure that is you're okay with the lifestyle that you want, which is part of your legacy and your dreams and everything like that, because life is so short that you don't want to go down these paths when the end game isn't what you thought it would be. And that's my job. I think my job is to make you aware of that, and it's real. And so, but I'd rather someone tell me the honest truth of what is at stake, and then I can make at least an informed decision rather than 10, 15 years go by and no one told me the truth. I don't have blood on my hands. I want to be clean, and I want to make sure I give you the right information. So it's a very good question. Anybody else? There's no good or bad questions.
I got more.
I ask a lot of questions. I'm sorry, I care about my life, I care about my family. I ask a lot of questions, so don't be afraid.
What's the best way to get your brand out there, get it known? Would it be like through your work, the quality of your work, Or like
Yeah, well, that,
advertising?
all brands need to be communicated. That can be communicated through video, images, right? Okay. I'm just saying, I know there's probably more of you, but I'm just saying, I know it's all tough, right? But you know, if you want to be a good husband, you want to be a, I know it's just, I'm being real here. You want to be a good husband or be a good wife and be a, you know, it doesn't start when you're married. It starts now when you're single. The same principle applies if you want to be world class and be a good professional at what you do. It doesn't start when you get a job. It starts now. It starts here. You know, and so I was going here somewhere. Well, help me re-engineer. What was the?
How to get yourself out there.
How to get yourself out there?
How to get your brand out.
How to get your brand.
So, yeah, but I'm trying to tie it back in. Okay, I lost it there. But anyway, so oh yeah, go out in the festivals and market your services. Have nice signs. Use your graphic design ability. You know, I would start to like, huh?
I always say start by stealing. And what I mean by that is see what other people in your field are doing professionally, and some of those things you can copy. Not necessarily steal exactly, but I'm just saying, okay, if you're a 3D modeler or an animator,
Big inspiration.
where do 3D modelers and animators market themselves right now? Where's the number one place they're doing that? ArtStation. Get up on ArtStation and start seeing what the people that you admire are doing.
It's like a, you know, a reservoir, right? It receives life, but it doesn't give anything out. There's no fish. There's nothing alive in a reservoir. Over time, it starts to smell. A channel, on the other hand, receives life and it gives, receives, gives, receives, gives. And so there's fish, smells clean, right? And so there's two types of people. When anything in substance in life, of value, money, time, wisdom, knowledge, whatever thing of substance, people are going to gravitate towards two. You're going to be a reservoir. It's all inward drawn. You're not giving anything out. The more you get, you're keeping it all to yourself. And eventually, people will notice that. They don't want to hang around. You start to don't smell very well. But if you're a channel, the more money, the more wisdom, time, knowledge you get, and you give, and you don't have to worry about giving it because what? More is coming. You know, and I think there's a principle here that, you know, so be giving use wisdom in everything that you do. Sometimes it's not appropriate to share everything or, you know, or give to, maybe they're, you know, whatever. But you get my point. So one, just a last neat story, just to give you an idea of what a game changer every one of you are. I was 23. Later, at Jumer Chateau in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, this guy took time out of his day. It was him and his fiance. I was his waiter. He goes, "Chris, you're 23 years old." He goes, "Your whole life's ahead of you." And he goes, "Promise me that no matter what choices you choose in life, that you can honestly say that you'll have no regrets." He goes, "You don't mind failure. Failure is going to happen to everyone, but regret is a greater pain. You don't want to." He goes, "You don't know this yet, but when you're 40 years old, a lot of people start having a lot of regrets in life. You don't know that when you're 23. And so, but promise you, don't let the fear of man, what other people think." And by the way, a real quick side story is 1/3 of the people will like you no matter what you do. 1/3 of the people won't like you no matter what you do. 1/3 of the people can be persuaded by their experience with you if they like you or not. So don't focus on the negative Nancy people that are critical, that don't care about your future, or just maybe they had a bad day, whatever. But chalk it. Don't let what their precious opinion or their negative criticism affect you and define your life. You know, focus on it. Choose your focus. And so the question is, what are we focusing on? Are we going to focus on the people that are speaking life over you, or the negative Nancy that are vision killers? There's a lot of vision killers out there, by the way. Trust me, I probably met them all. So, but just to have the courage to go for it. And but anyway, just to finish the quick story, is that he said, "Chris, you have your whole life ahead of you. No regrets." And so, you know, I'm just turned 46. A lot of failure, a lot of success, 0 regret. And I met a lot of people with a lot of regret. Don't have regrets for your career, your life, and whatever the future may hold. And one big takeaway, many of them from this guy, I never met him again, by the way, never met him again. But one of the biggest takeaways is, and I'm being more personal here, but I want to solidify this. I could have got married a lot younger than I did. Not the one. I'm guarding these life choices in life. That guy, what he told me, I eventually married to the woman I am now. And that guy doesn't even know it, never met him again. He affected my family tree. My son wouldn't be born. That's your life. Be a game changer and make this world a better place. Sorry, I'm passionate, and but just to give you an idea, this is how real life is. This is the reality of life, and be a game changer, because a game changer and being a world-class champion is on the inside of every one of you. So go for it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.